Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea only on WINN Media 98.9.
Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Island Tea with your faves, Kevon and Azem. And it is Friday, finally Friday. Oh, 1 week down. How many weeks March has? How does it fall? Calendar-wise, did it actually fall on 4? Or is it?
Actually, I think this it does actually, because I think this month actually started on a Monday. Well, the first was on a Monday, right?
4.5. Yeah, 4.5. I just checked.
Yeah. A load of them.
4 full weeks and then a half. But it's Friday, so can't wait to go to the rest of the weekend. How's everybody's week?
This week was long. I think I was juggling a lot of different things. I don't know how we so busy and we don't make the money. What going on with that, yo?
Right?
Questions that need answers, boy. That's a good question. My week was awful, but I survived. At least I'm alive.
Yeah, man. Just a bundle of sunshine this Friday.
I'm trying to start my weekend off in a better place than I started my week.
Yeah, that's always
we have life.
That's always a goal, right? How about you, Kevon? How are you surviving this week in space?
Let's not talk about it, because it's been a nightmare. But it is what it is.
SpaceX mission didn't go how it was supposed to?
What?
The SpaceX mission. No?
Yeah, we're gonna come to that. Or do we? We're gonna come to that. We're gonna explain what happened on my SpaceX rocket ship. But are we ready for Observer?
Well, we're trying to link up with the link up, so. Azem is sorting it out currently.
It's our new friend. So we'll see.
Yeah. Remember,
go.
we don't have
But-
Darren this week. Remember, Darren went on
Right.
vacation.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Quite his lockdown vacation, I guess, because
He went on something.
can you really
Vacation
Go on
away from
vacation?
work, yeah. This type of work, yeah.
No, I mean in Antigua right now, can you go on vacation based on the
Well, you
current
tell me,
things?
you went.
You know how things are going? Yeah, that's
Well,
it.
I mean, you did say that you did say that their corona procedures aren't as stringent as ours, so maybe they could, because you didn't have to quarantine and all of this, so maybe they could. Maybe they could do a nice little staycation. The hotels are probably offering some good deals, hopefully.
Right.
I want to go to Antigua, but I just don't want to. My problem isn't traveling. My problem is returning. Because
Well, both. Because honestly, it was a nightmare, and I'm guessing it's gonna also be a nightmare returning. But honestly, it seems as though St Kitts has it together. So I think the return is going to be much smoother, as in country-wise, not flight-wise. So
Right.
returning should be fine, I'm guessing, because when I see all of these random things happening, like in terms of what you experience on like airports, is just like, what's going on here? But it seems to me that St. Kitts has it together. So
well, yeah, good.
really,
Well, I don't know what's
I
happening.
don't expect a rough return.
I don't know. For some reason, they're not letting us get through in Gaston Land. So,
Kevon, what Kevon doing? He was down there, man. What Kevon was doing?
well, he looked like he just massed out and went by some kind of restaurant to get food and returned.
Yeah, that's what we know of. That's what we know of.
Yeah.
Painted up the
No, that was it, and it didn't even work because I said no candidates and left.
Yeah, Jade, you have on those face shields?
No, but I want one. Kevon made me want one.
Yeah, I have one, and
I had one. Yeah.
Well, we know because
Yeah.
we saw.
It got tossed though, because it got into contact with too much Rona, so I had to get rid of it.
You tossed the face mask.
I don't think it makes sense to reuse the same thing over and over, so got to change it.
face shield. I got you.
Well, so Kevon, since we having difficulties linking up, how about we do some stories? I think there's things happening in the world.
Yeah, we could jump to some stories.
Oh.
Let's see. Oh, did we get them?
No.
No? Yes? Okay, so let's just jump into some articles. Let's talk about what happened over the past week in St. Kitts and Nevis. So, as of Wednesday, March 3rd, 2021, a total of 2,085 persons have been vaccinated with the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine in St. Kitts and Nevis. So, almost 2,100 people. The CMO, Dr. Hazel Laws, made that disclosure at the March 3rd COVID-19 press briefing at the National Emergency Management Agency headquarters. And she also said, between February 22nd and March 2nd, we vaccinated a total of 1,356 persons. Today alone, before third, they said that 729 persons were vaccinated. In other words, we reached 6.3% of our target population. I am happy to share that I am included in those 729 persons. So interested persons are asked to take a visit to the nearest health center to make an appointment or wait in line until called. Information required when making the appointment or visiting the health center includes an individual's name, age, phone number, and information of any existing health conditions. People aged 80 and older are asked to contact the doctors for medical advice before taking the vaccine. After receiving vaccine, you will be issued a COVID-19 vaccination card, and the second dose is to be administered 10 weeks later. So keep on top of your, just in case, track your 10 weeks. So when you know it's time, you get yourself together. The rollouts already have. We are already percentage of 6 point.
But yeah, well, Kevon starts out what he's starting out. But it's interesting to see like there's been such a good response to the vaccine thus far. I've been speaking to a lot of people about the experiences. They do vary a little bit, but even yeah, for the most part, it's okay. Those who seem to have had like a adverse reaction, most of them saying 2 to 3 days, they might have been down a bit. Some flu-like symptoms. I had one friend who had a little more severe reaction, but she's better now. Yeah, and I see a lot of people who would have gone encouraging others to go as well. There's when they had the hurricanes, there were the like St. Martin Strong and this, but like the those profile picture things.
Mm-hmm.
I see there's one that said I got vaxxed. Like so, a couple people are doing that. But yeah, I think 2,000 people is a good start. It's a good start. Where we at now? Like it's 1 week, 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. We're moving. Next week I will be joining you guys. So if y'all don't see me on the show, just know I was home, cold when I was supposed to be hot. Because I think that's how somebody said that they had a.
Right.
I think that comes with a fever. They were saying that they were cold, and they I think they had a little fever. But it's not that bad. I think we have these things where we take vaccinations, most vaccinations. So, I guess this is normal.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yay. Master, what's
That's
next?
what it is. It's underway.
But on a totally
6.3%.
On a totally different note, I started telling Jade this, and didn't get to finish. Why I'm very excited today. You guys heard that like Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars starting a supergroup?
I know they did an album.
Excuse me?
Mm-hmm.
I saw Bruno Mars released a new track.
Well, Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak is supposed to be. Well, they're supposed to be releasing an album, and I saw them announce that. So
Yeah, so like
it's a whole lot of fun on one album.
well,
It's good.
I was reserving my excitement, like I said, until I actually heard the music, and so like I heard the first single. And by the way, the supergroup is called Silk Sonic.
Fitting.
Yes, I think it's a perfect name actually.
Mm-hmm.
But they released one called Leave the Door Open, and it's like
Sorry.
it's right up my alley. It's like 1960s R&B, like homage. Yeah, so I might play a piece of it today.
That's
We'll
good.
see.
I know we got that, and then we got Drake. Drake released an album.
Finally,
Well, not an album, it's an EP.
he been coming for the longest while.
Songs. I've been playing it all day. It's called Scary Hours 2.
Oh, it's another Scary Hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does drop these Lucy's, but he been teasing with the music for a while. Like
Mm-hmm.
he
He
been coming.
keeps announcing that it's coming, but he pushing it back, and then he announced again the other day that it's coming and pushed it back. So I guess it's finally here.
Yo, the way the artist rolling out the music right now is so interesting. Yeah, I saw who was it by? Like some dude's baby mother was like he used her to roll out the album. Who was it by?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like it happened like last week. It was I think it was can't come to me. But this artist, I think it might have been his little baby, or one of them, like his child's mother. Like
I don't think it's Little Baby because I don't think he bought out anything.
no, he didn't. The album ain't dropped yet. But I'm saying the rollout's happening. So the lady, like she went on like a Twitter and posted like, yeah, I just spoke to you guys like little boyfriend, and like all spicy, and it's like, yeah, and he let me know that the music's gonna be good, boom, 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 and it's coming, blah, 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 blah.
The little boyfriend is hilarious.
Yeah, like I thought it was just like so cool. Like, you know, a baby mother give you the spice, but she's still supportive.
That's good. That's good. That's what we should strive to be if we were in this situation.
Right?
Yeah. But the artists rolling out their music, they have to get creative to stand out. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. Some of them kind of failing horribly, but
Somebody
Yeah,
else.
because a lot of them also have run into the same issue of them just honestly sounding the same. Like, you don't even know if it's a new track because it sounds the same as the last.
yeah.
That's how I feel about the baby music. Every time I hear it, I'm like, this is the same. But actually, yesterday I was speaking to an African artist that lives here. They should be on the show sometime next week, and they have some music. Yes, we are featuring international music that, even though it was made here, still in the international genre. So good things,
Here we go.
artists, good things. I'm excited to hear that project.
Things.
I like African music, so I'm excited to hear this project. Yeah. We got a little
Exclusive?
sneak
Is this an
peek.
exclusive we get in?
Yes.
We like it.
We need to make a sound bite for exclusive. But anyway.
We get. Me and Azem have an idea for that. We're gonna do the
I'm leaving it in your capable hands.
the
then.
Dragon Ball Z soundbite.
All right.
Oh, boy.
But Kevon, what else is happening? Oh, somebody said it was Van.
Ignore, please.
I don't know his Van. Oh, okay. Kevis. Oh, is she calling you Van? I thought she meant like the artist that as in was straight
I was
to
kind of like, what?
Yeah, that's what I'm like. Who the hell is Van? Anyway.
I'm begging y'all to ignore, and y'all still having an entire conversation about it.
We didn't
But
hear
okay.
the ignore part fast enough. You and your twin take it up with each other,
This
okay?
is not a safe space.
Oh dear.
I ain't get me
It's
twins
not
there.
a safe space.
Yeah, I ain't getting between twins at all. So you know, they jump me.
You know, let's see what else is happening in the Caribbean hemisphere. I don't think this is geographically the Caribbean, but it's an island, so sure. Bermuda, the Senate rejects the government's controversial cannabis law. So the ruling Progressive Labour Party, they've reacted angrily after the Senate rejected a controversial law to legalize cannabis, which will now be sent back to the House of Assembly in the British Overseas Territory. The Cannabis Licensing Act, which sets out a regulatory framework for growing, selling, and using the drug, was passed by MPs 2 weeks ago. But in the upper house on Wednesday, senators opposed the legislation, 6 voters to 5, handing a major defeat to the PLP 5 months after it was re-elected with a huge 24-seat majority in a general election. All 3 independent senators who are chosen by the governor and 3 opposition from OBA, One Bermuda Alliance, the senators voted down the bill, giving them the majority over the 5 government senators who voted in favor of it. So the party said the cannabis reform they opposed would have further reduced the criminalization of Bermudians and jobs and opportunities for Bermudians. Now, Bermudians are forced to wait for entrepreneurial opportunities in agriculture, transport, research, manufacturing, and the creation of health products and consumables. Another day in the Caribbean saga.
So they passed
To
a
be
bill and then
honest.
they rescinded it?
No, so basically what happens is before it could come into law, it has to be passed by the MPs, like those are the people voted for, right? But then you also have to pass in what they call the upper house, which contains senators, some appointed by the governor, some given to the opposition, and then also to the government side, right? And so when it got to the upper house, it was defeated 6-5.
Damn.
Yeah, like my thing is I just don't know. I would like to know what the reasoning was. The fact that the independent senators voted it down as well. Yeah, it's not just the opposition who voted it down. So I don't want to just chalk it up to, like a political blockade. But because I mean, even in the US, like a lot of times when the marijuana legislation was not passing, it was just because they tried to slip through other things in the bill.
they caught it.
I was like, nah, this ain't gonna really work.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I will find out why they didn't pass it. So like why they decided this wasn't it, because that's a reason.
Smoke dogs on the mission.
Yeah, well, not because of that, but just because, to know why. Like if they already like pushed it up and then they was like, nah. It would be good to know the reason why.
Yeah. Is it just a moral grounds? Is that they don't agree that this is something that needs to be decriminalized, etc., or is it issues with the bill, how it was written? They didn't think it went far enough. They didn't give enough protection to locals. Like, there's so much different reasons why it could be the case, and also just because maybe they're just playing politics. It could also be that, But this is something that, you see, what's happening now is that the Caribbean is now going through what the US went through 10 years ago.
With the marijuana bills and stuff.
Yeah, like with the push to legalize. Like I mean, everybody could have seen it coming, and it's going to continue to come worldwide. There's no way this is going to stay an illegal substance, especially given I think if people really knew why it was illegal in the first place, I think that's something that would kind of sway people's minds in a way. But propaganda, when done well, is quite effective, and we see the results of that. But science-based decisions, sometimes are very rare. Sometimes they're very rare.
Very, very rare.
I don't know. Well, you guys think that let me ask you a question. What is the equivalent? Is there an equivalent cash crop now, like compared to what we expect marijuana to be? Not in terms of revenue and stuff like that, but in terms of this thing where it's like widespread use. Seemingly everybody wants to take part in it and grow it and use it. Is there something like that exists now? Is there another crop?
Not to my knowledge. I could be wrong.
What's it called? Avocados.
Avocados, maybe. Avocados. See, avocados is a weird example because you realize like my problem is, if everybody growing it and it's readily available and people could cultivate it in their homes and stuff, like, yeah, we might have an initial revenue spike, like, but 10 years from now,
And then you would plateau.
yeah, but then 10 years from now, I don't know how it's gonna be this huge cash crop if everybody could just grow it and every no.
Oh, you mean
marijuana?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's why the government's trying to regulate it in the way that they're trying to regulate it. So it just don't. I don't know.
No, what I'm saying is every country is going to get to the place where it's legalized, and I don't think there's any country that's going to forbid personal cultivation up to a certain amount. No, yeah, everybody ain't gonna grow weed in a spare bedroom, but I think it's going to just be readily available and all over. Like, I think there's gonna be a glut. Which is why I never make the argument, like, that's why I don't make the argument for marijuana like a financial one, because I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters if it makes money and if you could tax it and all these things. I think that is a very short-sighted and shallow argument. Like, my argument has always been, like, if you have a problem with it, like, it can't be a criminal issue. If you want to make it a public health issue, then fine. But it can't be a criminal issue, right? But yeah, you can't tell me that, like, society is so bad because this person puts it in their body, and then you don't look at the long-reaching effects of mass incarceration, taking fathers out of their homes, like taking away primary breadwinners from families. Like, it's like that argument doesn't make sense to me, right? So you can't like the whole criminal aspect of it. I've never supported, but
Right.
yeah. But this thing about like, oh, it's the savior. It's like the green savior. I don't know if I
The green savior.
Agree
The
with that
green
either.
savior. That's a good name for a strain. Not gonna lie. Somebody
The
needs
green
to.
savior.
Yeah, that's all like some good weed.
Well, guys, we have a caller on the line. Caller, good morning. You're live on Island T. What's up?
Good morning, team.
Morning.
On the issue of the marijuana, I think most of us thinking wrong. You probably could get like 200 products on marijuana plants. I don't think it's just going and smoking. I think you could get other byproducts on marijuana. So I think that's what people will be looking at when you see everybody doing marijuana. I guess most countries will have to steer the production in a way that wherever plants you produce, we usually produce something else rather than just go to smoke. Secondly, what you guys think we our ambassadors are supposed to be doing? 'Cause I don't think the ambassadors in saying it's doing the right thing. I don't know. What's the definition of an ambassador? Isn't
Okay,
it doing, like, probably
what are they
invest
doing
in something?
currently that you don't think is the right thing?
I don't know. You hear them on the radio bashes, like talking politics several days a week. I don't know. And they're supposed to be bringing in like foreign investors and doing diplomatic ties with other countries and them stuff. I don't know. What's the definition of ambassador? I don't know if you could help me out with that.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. I think you could take this one. You
So why I like to show these? I don't know, like.
explain to the people what the ambassadors for saying it's supposed to be doing.
Well, no, I think in a general sense, it's these are people who facilitate diplomatic relations with other countries and other international organizations. For instance, we have ambassadors to the UN, we have ambassadors in Morocco, we have ambassadors in Canada. I'm not quite sure what the caller is speaking about like playing politics.
That's why I asked him like, what does he think that?
But he said that he sees the ambassadors playing politics. I think being involved in politics.
That we have right now.
There's a load of them, Jade.
Oh, so we don't have specific ones because like how do we I've never heard anybody that is an ambassador that just plays. But am I wrong?
Well, no, I think there's been times when especially some of the appointees that would have come out of the political arena. Like I think they're still operating that way. Yeah, and not only that too. Bear in mind that depending on where you're assigned to, it kind of dictates like different roles. So, for instance, I suspect that the daily life of and the issues that an ambassador, like let's say to Canada, would have to deal with are quite different from, let's say, our ambassador to Morocco or Dubai. Right? Just based on the nature of the relations and the type of just the nature of the relations.
And the responsibilities that he may have.
Well, I think the responsibilities might change a bit. But yeah, let's have a caller call in.
Well, we have a call.
Oh, we have a call? Let's see. Morning caller, 11 Island T. Oh, they left.
Anymore. Of course, feel free to call back.
Yeah, and if you're an ambassador, call in and tell us what you do, so they could understand that you don't
So
just
we can
press
answer
people.
the question.
Yeah. Let an ambassador answer this question.
Yeah, but they're just the physical connector between countries. Like that's in a very broad sense.
I've never thought about it. Y'all just make me think about some things that I've never thought about before. Like
The
I've never
ambassadors,
thought. Yeah.
Even though the ambassadors here are always doing things, the time his ambassador always making a presentation. I like cause he just might talk for like 2 minutes, yeah.
Let's get to the point.
every time. But hello, good morning caller, you're live on Island T.
I don't understand what's happening with the phone. We have another call. Hopefully this isn't a dial tone.
No, this line actually does work. Good morning, caller. You're live on RNT.
Good morning to you and the rest of the guys in the studio. I didn't hear the comment that you were referring to, I just tuned in, about the ambassador's role, but I certainly expect an ambassador to represent the country, represents what's best in the country, and so it should be of a stature that does that. Okay. Generally speaking, ambassadors represent our interests overseas, and apparently locally, we have ambassadors appointed locally who does other things. I don't know if we have ambassadors for individual government ministers or ministries. I thought it was for foreign relations generally. But the point about political, they're generally political appointments, right? But the office itself, I would think, should not be political because they represent all in the country. Okay, so there should be nothing partisan about them. And in the specific case of our current ambassador to the UN, okay, to take the bull by the horns, basically he hosts a show in which is obviously partisan, and where people call in and denigrate other citizens. Okay, that is not the role of an ambassador. Should not be hosting a program like that. I say so with no water in my mouth. Okay, should not. It is divisive. It's not unifying. An ambassador, like I said, should represent everybody. Okay, and so I think that is degrading the office of an ambassador. If you look at what has been the historical context, if you look at past ambassadors, you don't see any of them doing that. They have, of course, they have their political leanings, okay, and of course they'll represent the interests of the government, but you don't see that raw, coarse, partisan behavior coming out of past ambassadors and even present ambassadors. I mean, this is the first time I can recall where an ambassador goes to this kind of length. You know, it should not happen, I don't think. Okay?
Okay.
All right then.
Thank you.
You know, like there's, you know,
summary.
Yeah, but you know what's interesting too? Like we have some of these offices that generally are overlooked, even though they have very important roles in our democracy. Mm-hmm. Like I always wonder why nobody does talk about the ombudsman.
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh.
Right.
Like when nobody does talk about the ombudsman, like that's like he's a like seriously powerful. That's a seriously powerful office.
Maybe because a lot of people don't know what he does.
Nobody even knows what the office is.
Yeah, nobody like they see the word because that's the office by the square, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like people often pass it, but they probably see the word.
They probably think that's somebody's last name. Like Harry Ombudsman.
Harry would be a good first name for that one. But yeah, like I'm pretty sure it's just because a lot of people not sure what he does. That's why they don't think about him in that way. Because they know what the Attorney General does. They know what, I hope. Okay, well. Because
that was one of the other ones. So for instance, we had an article the other day that spoke to the Director of Public Prosecution, the DPP. Like people don't really understand that role either. I don't think people understand the role of the Attorney General in a general sense.
Maybe because they don't have to think about it. Like
the ombudsman.
You don't have to think about these things. Sometimes they just slip you. Like you don't see the need to know exactly until you need them or you need to be involved with something that involves them. That's when you try to figure out, okay, well, what does this person do? But generally, like most of us don't have to interact with an ombudsman and the Attorney General, the DPP.
Perhaps we should, but and that's the point I'm making. Like, for instance, like the ombudsman, you know, like he's there to field complaints about people in certain positions and stuff like that, investigate, especially people in public office, right? Handles that those type of complaints and stuff like that. But and that's something that people should know. I'm not blaming anybody. Like, yes, there's a part of it that it's like people just have a lot of things going on in their life, and depending on what you have going on, like that's just not a priority. I understand that.
Yeah, that's what I mean, man.
But
I think
but
for a lot of people, that's how it is.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think that more importantly, what it is that we have elevated certain offices and positions, right, based on our electoral process and how we view politics and stuff like that. So if you're not necessarily a party candidate, the other fringe, like the other people are seen as fringe players in our democracy, right?
That's what I mean. Like, a lot of these times, people only think about, like, for instance, the Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister, the Speaker of the House. What's another position that people generally...
See, I don't even think the Speaker of the House. I think
you don't think so?
I think people just study the candidates.
Oh dear, no man. You think for sure?
The candidates and the Governor General. That's it.
I agree with Azem, to be honest.
The candidates and the Governor General.
If you're lucky, a little permanent secretary or something.
Well, maybe it just me then, because I felt like...
You could tell me the name of the Speaker of the House?
Andrews? No.
Who?
No.
Okay.
I can't.
Exactly.
All right, there we go.
Wait, who is the Speaker of the House? I know the last one, and I probably know the one after that.
Wait, Curtis Martin?
Yeah. Okay, who is?
No, you better do your search. Do your research.
So as if you can tell me?
No.
I'm not gonna do my Google. Yeah? You think me on a credit, no?
Because Jade in here talking about people study the Speaker of the House.
Yes, but not
Jade
me.
have no idea.
I am not speaking about me. I am not referring to me. I'm referring to other people. I'm sure other people could literally tell us.
Yeah, the people who have to go to Parliament.
Not only them, man.
Yeah, pretty much. And his family.
You don't have to go to Parliament and the Speaker of the House and thing. Fado, Yannick Fado. That's no. Okay, wait. I come back. Let me do my Googles, because I feel like that's who it is. But you're laughing at me. Current.
Oh boy.
Let me put current.
But this just proves my point, Kevon. What I'm saying is,
I don't think Jade understands that she actually proving our point.
Yes.
I was not referring to me.
But we have another call.
Somebody telling me who the Speaker of the House is.
While Jade looks who the Speaker of the House is. Good morning, caller. You're live on Island TV.
Jade's name is Mr. Michael Perkins from Nevis.
I don't know who that is.
From Nevis, like there was a
whole... I can assure you that I don't know who this is. But no, I do. I just actually, as you called, I found it. So I'm going to look at his picture. So now if I pass him on the road...
This is the second time.
Oh, yes. Yes, we did do an article on him.
Jade. Okay, hold on. Sorry, caller, because I just have to let the callers know. Jade is saying that she knows him based on the picture. Jade is looking at a picture of Tapley Seaton.
Okay, so I don't know him then. Wait, see, somebody else also thought it was somebody that I thought it was.
Lord, Azem, I'm glad you're here.
Azem is not helping me. I don't like it. Azem just like, you see, this is not a safe space.
Go ahead, caller. What do you mean you don't even watch when they have House of Assembly?
I do.
They don't pass laws and you don't complain.
Okay, let me look on it. I don't.
Anyway, this thing about ambassador, that's why I make a starting point. But, every year they have diplomatic week. It's celebrated in this federation, And they have people, just the other day they were working for you. I think it's early this year. They tell you the different ambassadors. But what I think really should happen, as Mr. McMahon said, they should not be so politically linked. But we know no government going to put nobody who's supporting another government thing as the ambassador. It just don't make sense. It don't make sense. But you see, he was complaining when in the 2015 election, it was to the embassy that people got voters ID. People wonder how on God earth people when come saying get it. Were up there booking names to come home to vote to the embassy. You know what I mean? Now when you drag it down to that level where it becomes so partisan that it determines the election thing. I believe that I said to Mr. Blantley, I think the ambassadors could do much more. We talk a lot about Africa. Why are we not having cultural exchanges? Other countries do it, you know. We don't just want scholarship, we want to see people. We want our artists and artisans to be able to travel to these countries, you know, on tours, exhibition tours. And the CARICOM one supposed to be looking after the interests of Kittian and Nevision in CARICOM countries. And I won't tell you how they failed. My daughter in Barbados, who was stranded in Suriname, wanted to come out, and she was told by the Barbadian government she's not a Bajan, even though she married to Bajans, you know, and she was asked to contact our CARICOM ambassador for help. And it was to the intervention of somebody else who knew somebody in Barbados who got her out. And even when she reached, she said she was on the airport for over an hour in the RSS plane, wondering what to do with her, after she had made intervention here to get her out of Suriname and back to Barbados where she lives. So sometimes our ambassadors, they drop the ball. They dropped the ball. I recall I went to Washington, D.C. one time, and the weather was colder than they told me. I nearly freeze. And I went down to the embassy to ask them, could you please advance me some money to buy a sweater? A sweater, you know. And it was already approved, but it came in after I was leaving. You know, they said I couldn't do it.
Wow.
They couldn't do it. So I asked them, what is the use of the embassy in a country if the citizens of the country where the embassies are cannot be helped? They're not just give a political patronage. So I demand more of them. All right then.
All right, morning.
Well, I need someone to send me a picture of this because every picture I find apparently is not what I'm looking for.
All you have to look for. Go ahead.
And Azem is in here laughing. I thought this was a safe space, but apparently I'm wrong.
Right? No, Jade, I mean, at this point,
Jade,
he right to laugh.
Ask me about me abnormally small kneecaps.
You're supposed to do better than me.
No, girl, I pet you.
Oh boy, Azem, you're supposed to be doing better than me. I'm disappointed in you.
Hey, that was funny though.
Bro, I don't.
I wanted you to put up the picture on the
not
camera.
Me, make you think I could just embarrass you.
But you didn't know you.
Azem,
I think if she did, that would have been like the crowning
know that I didn't know who he was, you know. Not the whole of the live. I do not know how this man looks. I swear to God.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Jade, look at the picture top he's eating and said it's
that's the
wow.
That's what Google gave me.
Google
and he
gave
looked
you
familiar,
a
so
photo.
I just assumed it.
You was it?
Oh.
Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you?
If you want a picture of him, all you really have to
You
do
see, you
is-
can't even find a picture.
Watch
of
it
this
there,
man.
Jade.
Where?
It's in there.
Bro, I never see this man in my life.
He's
I've
from
never
Nevis.
seen.
Hey, he's from Nevis.
So what? I've never seen this man in my life.
All right, we have another call, guys. Good morning. You're live on Island T. What's up?
Good morning again, team. Let me get some more feedback on you guys. Mr. Sugarmass especially. The vaccine rollout and everything. How do you think we're looking at any music festival this year? You're supposed to have inside information. Maybe if you could help us out with that. I know if you was on the board, I think everybody would take the vaccination. I know you would have found somewhere to encourage everybody.
Me? Bye.
So are we rolling out now? You think we're going to get any entertainment later in the year?
Right, that's above my pay grade.
Listen off, like.
All right, man.
That's a good question, but also, are we going to see a music festival this year? To be honest, I don't think so. Maybe
That
we'll
is a
have
question
some
for the
scaled-back
tourism authority
version
and
if-
not for ILNT because we can't answer. Maybe we
Right.
can have them on and speak about it and ask them
Yeah,
some questions. But
I think that
Yeah, we could ask some questions, but you know,
I mean, I
No.
think what we have to recognize, one, is that the event itself, like, I think there's, I don't know. I'm not involved in Music Fest. But I think they're probably trying to do something.
Yeah,
But a traditional Music Fest is probably not going to happen because, and for a lot of different reasons. But imagine, for instance, the quarantine period. I think the quarantine makes it very difficult for Music Fest to happen in the way that it has traditionally happened. But I do think that the Music Fest committee is full of a lot of brilliant young people, a lot of people with experience. I think that they're probably going to try and put something together. But I don't know what it is. I don't know what form it would take or anything like that. But yeah, who knows, right? I was speaking to some health officials. I was speaking to some doctors about, what they thought might be a time we could, see some return to normalcy in terms of people being able to gather in mass. And the answers are so varied that what it's telling me is that nobody actually knows.
But question, do you think like a virtual music festival would work?
Yeah, but you see, at the same time, how is that profitable? We have to be reasonable because we can't just think about consuming. We have to think about the back end of it. We can't expect music festival to shell out millions of dollars to host a virtual event that nobody gonna pay for. And on top of that, where they charge per one person per entry. You pay one fee, you online, and then you invite a crowd full of people to your house and 20 people watching on one TV for the same price. You have to think about all those things.
Kevon,
how can the music festival committee profit?
But that's my problem. My problem is I do think that these virtual shows can be profitable, but the model you have to employ a specific model. The model is not pay-per-view. The model is the model that I would encourage promoters and other entities like Music Fest to explore is to have a situation where you recognize you are now able to reach a wider audience, and there's people who would pay for access to that audience, right? And so sponsorship, in this case, if you're doing it virtually, should not be limited to local businesses.
I agree.
Right? You have a Caribbean market, you have a worldwide market, and so access to the fans that you've built up over time. The music festival brand is one that is synonymous with excellence. It's something that people look forward to worldwide. It's one of the most long-running music festivals in the Caribbean for sure, if not the longest-running one. So,
probably one of the most popular too, so.
Right, and so I think that gives you a certain level of leverage. And so that is the way I think that these shows should go. The idea of charging viewers to watch for it, I think that is played out on archaic. It's not going to happen. You have too much competition for that. But providing access to potential businesses, tourism boards from different islands, like there's such a big market. And I think that is the way that the model should happen if you're going to do it virtually. And not only just music fests, but like I said, promoters who want to go into this type of event, even the carnival and stuff like that. That's how I want to see the model happen. So hopefully there's some exploration in that way if virtual is the way they're gonna go. I mean, we could always do a local music festival if but we're talking about music festival. What about Culturama? I know there's probably the plans for Culturama are already underway. And so
I feel like that definitely might happen because it's later down in the year. Right now we're going through the whole vaccination
it's
process.
literally a month after Music Fest.
Yeah.
Just
But I feel
weeks.
like the logistics for Culturama is easier to navigate than.
What?
Because for
Music Fest is one weekend
yes,
in one
I
place.
understand, but the reason I said that is because usually we have to fly in these people.
Are you talking about the artists?
Yeah, so because Culturama doesn't have that aspect where we have to fly in a bunch of.
I mean, they do, but.
It's not necessary. It's not like that is the basis of Culturama.
So we can't have Music Fest without flying in people?
I think it might be difficult.
People could also perform virtually too. Remember,
performing virtually, yes, but because it's different. Remember, music festival when we set up, they're using our stuff not necessarily our like bands and stuff, but we have them centralized in one place. We are the people in charge of, the production and the band changeover and all of this. When we have them doing it in different locations, like how are we to guarantee? It wouldn't cost us more to have them do that? Have them have to set up their own production and all of that?
But we're talking about cost, right? Like, I don't think that's. I think there's a lot of variables to offset here. Cost of plane tickets to fly an entire crew, hotel stay, all these kind of things, like per diem. All these things here going to that. So in terms of having production in different places, I don't see that as
easier.
I don't see it's easy. I think it's possible.
The cost is just relocated to a different expense. That's all.
Yeah. So and I think there's ways to do it. I think there's ways to get it done if that's the direction they want to go.
Even if we look at some of these award shows, for the last year we've seen all these award shows have the artists pre-record their own performances and then they put them on the award show and stuff like that. It also got creative room because when they come here they have to perform on a stage that's a preset. But if they get to do their own thing, they could set up their production, their scenes, their stages, however they want to do it, and it could bring a different experience. So
that's true.
While it might not give the same effect as having them live, there is an alternative and there are options.
Yeah, I think what Kevon is saying is just repeating things that we've been saying all year, which is we have to adapt. We have to adapt. Things are not like they were, and so we can't just sit down and be like, hey, well, let's just
not have them.
Because it's not the same. So I do believe I want to believe that there's plans already happening for music festival. I think.
Hopefully, we shall look out for that.
But what form it's going to take, I don't know. We have to wait and see. And like I said, not only Music Fest, I'm looking forward to hearing what the plans are, but again also Culturama, which is in the summer, so August, Monday, who knows. But Kevon, we're actually gonna take a small break and we're gonna be right back with more Island Tea. Don't change the dial. As a matter of fact, you need to do? You need to go share the live right now. Go on your Facebook, share to your friends, like, subscribe, comment, and also on YouTube. See you guys in just a little bit.
For the best price on your third-party insurance? Well, look no more. The insurance company of the West Indies, ICWI, has the best protection at the best price with no deductible. What are you waiting for? Call 465-8753 or visit us at 1C Bird Rock Road or in Nevis number 22 Solomon Arcade, Main Street. Payment options available.
Horsford's Value Mart IGA is helping you spend less and save more. How, you ask? Essential Everyday and Equiline. Spend less on our Essential Everyday products and get the best quality, the best taste, and the best value. Spend less for all your family health and beauty needs with the Equiline brand of over-the-counter products. Horsford's Value Mart IGA is helping you spend less with our essential everyday products and Equaline over-the-counter health and beauty care products. Shop smart and spend less at Value Mart, where price matters most.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Welcome back to Island Tea with your faves, Kevon and Azem. And it is Friday, still Friday, March 15th. It is now 9:10 a.m. And we're jumping into Eat Local with Eustace Stacey Hobson. Welcome and good morning.
Good morning. So, it's a pleasure to really have you here in the studio with us this morning. How things doing on this Friday? You good?
I think the week went too fast.
It needs to slow it down a bit.
Yeah, Carnival is soon here, right? We are already in March. Carnival is soon here. Okay?
Yeah, man, that's good. But for those of our viewers and listeners who may not be as familiar with who you are and what you're into, which of course is a lot, but tell us a bit about yourself and let the people know who you are.
Okay, my name is Eustace Stacey Hobson, senior, because there's a duplicate of me now.
Version 2.0.
It's more like 8.0. And I grew up in Newtown. Actually, I was born in Aruba, and I came as a kid with my parents. My parents who migrated from St Kitts to Aruba, where they worked, and all my brothers were born in Aruba, and my sisters were born in St Kitts.
That's a plan, man. That's a plan.
Yeah, so, and we moved back here in the 50s, and I grew up in Newtown. We all grew up in Newtown. Just basically who moved back here because my other brothers, and they went to Europe to go to school, was Bobby J, Mayfields, and myself. And we lived on Roxborough Street, up the street from the breadfruit tree where Ellie Matt so famously sang about, the breadfruit tree. And went to boys' school, grammar school, and been playing mass since I was no bigger than a doorknob.
So mass is you and you is mass?
Well, we both intricately woven.
So maybe you need to give us some details as to just how you guys are both sewn together.
Okay, well, my dad first took my nephew David Brown and Bobby J and I to our first mass. We were like, I would say 7, 6, and David was about 3. And we played clowns. And I found it very interesting. And I've always worked with my hands, like to be with my hands. As you know, I'm an architect by profession. And I've started building things. We played with Major Alfonso. Every year he had an Indian troupe. He was the chief of police here from Trinidad, so obviously the Trinidad influence. And every year he as chief of police, there was a certain degree of respect in the community. So you found that a great cross-section of the population, or let's say the citizenship, played mass with him.
Oh, okay.
So you had the upper echelon, the middle echelon, the lower echelon. Tutmun and Bagay, as old people would say, played mass with Major Alfonso because it was a thing. And he brought the Trinidad influence, which then, made it more grandeur. And he was always the chief, of course, even he was a big man. So, and they had guys like Charles Brisbane played Indians too. So it had a great cross-section. So the population, actually, we started to experience Carnival.
Yeah.
If you notice that Carnival really is not I don't know if you think about it hard, but Carnival, we are not Carnival people in St Kitts and Nevis, We are party people.
Right.
But we are not Carnival people. There's a big difference in Carnival and party, but they both should blend.
Right.
Like when I started making my mass in St Kitts when I moved back home in '83, I recognized that to get people to participate in the band, you must get them interested in making their costume. You see, when they make their costume and they put it on Carnival, they have a bond with that costume. And so what we did, I formed a band called Express Yourself. And my first band was, you make what you think you can do. And we had a band.
Right.
We actually won first prize.
Oh.
Excuse me.
Right. So the whole concept was people were able to make their own costume,
Right.
and express themselves.
Right. So after I established Express Yourself, then I figured, now we need a leader in this band, and a creative director. So I became that.
Right.
So then I started doing the concepts, and then people would come to the mass camp. We started like in October, sometime even late September after independence. And we started putting together the main structure, the costumes, and everybody would come at night and it would build up. So by the time mass time come, the whole excitement is there. So when we hit the road, you know, you're already high.
Yeah.
You're high off for the costume, build up.
Right.
You know, the idea of buying a costume and putting it on Carnival Day is just to whine.
Right.
See, you're not tied into there's no feeling.
The cultural aspect of the costume building and
Yeah.
I got you.
And you could, and as a matter of fact, what happens, some people tell me, even to today, like some of the women in Newtown there, I parked my car in Newtown just now to get here because parking is real tight like fish. And a lady say, Stace, when you gonna play mass again? I said to myself, I wonder if she know I going down here to talk about mass. Because she said she missed the mass camp.
Right.
Because then it brought everybody together. Don't care where you came from.
Irrespective of class
or creed. You became one. And which brings me to this in mind, that if we separate Carnival from Christmas, we will then have a true, we'll have a season for Carnival and Christmas season.
Right.
Because what we have really taken Christ out of Christmas and call it Mass, or take Mass out of Christmas and
have that separate from.
I've actually heard people suggest this before, especially when it comes to getting other people to join our carnival, because realistically a lot of people, the reason that they're not able to play mass with us is because it's around Christmas time, and people travel to see their families, and they try to spend New Year's and Christmas with their loved ones. So having the choice of leaving their loved ones and coming here to be by themselves or with their friends, then to going to spend Christmas time with their families, like a tough decision for a lot of people because it's not their normal way of life. So I find a lot of people, the reason that they're not a part of our carnival, our celebration, is because it is just too close to Christmas.
It's interesting that you said that. When travel was free, pre-COVID, I used to go to Trinidad, and when Peter Minshall band was, you know Peter Minshall, right?
Yeah.
I used to go down and 3 weeks ahead of Carnival and worked in his mass camp. And I usually worked on the king of the band costume, which was Peter Samuel. And after they got to know me over the years, they said, Stacey, you're always down here for Carnival. I used to go to Barbados, Crop Over, Antigua Carnival. I would fly straight from Crop Over, go into Antigua Carnival for Carnival Day.
Yeah.
I go to St. Thomas Carnival. I was like a carnival animal. And they said to me, Stace, when is Carnival in St. Kitts? I said, Christmas. They said, boy, no, boy. Oh, God, boy, no, we can't come. We can't come, man. That is parang.
Right.
That is all Christmas. And I started thinking about it, and what happens is that people will not leave, like you said. They will not leave their home at Christmas time. That's a time for family.
Right.
And to go wind back all Carnival, all the years I played mass here for Carnival, my secretary, Marcia, kept a tab on people that played mass with me. And it was the same people that came home. People going to come home for Christmas anyway.
Right.
But most of them come to see their family. And like I said earlier, we are not really carnival people. So we're not going to break away from our traditional Christmas celebrations and go and play mass. They prefer to come and watch the mass and go back home.
Right.
But then if you make the costume and you have people, in a different time of the year, we would benefit economically. We can find time for it, and I already had that in my mind where we could put it. Is where we had Carrie Festa.
Okay, right.
And the reason why we had CARIFest today is so that all the other islands in CARICOM could participate. They had nothing happening. You see?
Right.
That's a good point. But you speak a lot about creating costumes, and that's I feel like that's one thing that we usually look forward to each year with you playing mass. Like, where do you get these concepts from, and how do you get to build these these costumes that are like, if you see it, you know it's a different costume. It looks nothing like anything else in any other band. It's unique to you. Like, where do you get these inspirations from?
Well, my Juve morning costumes started out from, I would listen to, believe it or not, I would listen to the budget speech in December. So that gave me that inspiration. Then my carnival troupe, the concepts would usually come from stories. One year we played Chinatown, and it was actually a celebration or a welcoming to the Taiwanese embassy and its people to St Kitts and Nevis. And funny enough, they participated in that band. They even, when they found out that what I was doing, the ambassador came to me and asked me how can he help. When I showed him what we were doing, we had a dynasty, they have the dynasty and so on.
Right.
They literally flew in costumes, which we had to give them back, obviously.
Right, like actual
traditional costumes for the princesses and so on, and we had them. So what I did with that was I had a tractor trailer with the different dynasty and chairs on the trailer. So you actually saw and then I had the peasantry. We had the warriors. We had the kind of thing.
Yeah, man.
They had hats. So to elaborate on the hat, I made the hat like 6 feet. The typical Chinese hat.
Yeah.
I put cardboard on it and make it
extended it
6 feet.
Wow.
So you knew it was a Chinese hat coming down the road. So it was
very authentic.
So it's easy to do. Once you put your mind and what you want to do, you must have a concept first. And from the concept you can build on it. And if you start early enough, everything will fall in place. But if you just throw a band together and want to whine.
Yeah. But I mean, what you're talking about, I think most people see it as an evolution, and there's some people who I talk to who may have, maybe feel like the evolution may have gone, in a direction they might not, totally want to be a part of. As somebody who's been involved in carnival and mass for so many years, what are some of the things that you've seen change over the years, and some of those, what you think help to encourage people to get involved? Are there some that you think may, on the other hand, kind of cause people to separate from being a part of it?
Okay, that's an interesting question. I had to gradually introduce, for example, speaking from my experience, my cousin Janice Reynolds, I actually took over from Janice. Janice, who was the front runner for Carnival. She saw a void that needed to be filled during Christmas festivities, and Janice's band was the band to be in because her personality actually was the band.
Right.
So, she always had a smiling face. Janice just made you join Janice's band, and who Janice was, a netballer and da-da-da-da-da. She had a lot of friends, and they all played mass. And then when I came back home from university, I took that and I just did my thing, where I told a story. Every band I had, I told a story. We had a band called Sugarcane Fantasy.
Oh, okay.
It was the year, I think, that we had one of the best crops. So I say, what we're going to do? We're going to pay tribute to the crop, to the sugarcane cutters and so on.
Right.
So we had the green cane. I mean, that's the first time people saw costume high up in the air. So we had like 6-foot canes on the back of people. Then we had the cane fire. Believe it or not, we had the red, and there was a fluorescent netting that Miss Gwenny sold. And I figure when we turned by the old grammar school up by the cemetery, the sun would be in the west that time. And it actually looked like, with the fluorescent red in between the cane.
Like fire.
Like fire. I mean, it was...
Nice.
When you see it, it was mind-blowing.
Right.
And we had the dogs and monkeys and rats. We had a lot of little rats and mice in the cane field. That's where the rats came from. And the cattle egrets, and we had the cane cutters. So it was... it's always a story. I always try to tell a story. You see, at the end of the year, after having worked, you can only let out. You have to get your frustrations. And I would call my band street theatrics.
Right.
We playing on the street now. This is our time, So that's why Juve Morning means so much to me. I told my wife I'm going to play Juve till I'm 99 and then retire, and the two of us could come downtown when I'm 100 to watch the match.
Okay, that sounds like a plan.
It is a plan.
and plus, I'm sure Stacey has it. Like, I feel like Stacey would carry on the mantle of, hopefully.
It's interesting to note, he and I would, after I stopped making costumes, because I found that a lot of people just wanted to buy a costume and put it on, right? It's cheaper. And I heard about costume loan. You ever hear about a costume loan?
That's the thing, no. That's the thing.
I mean, where in the world do you hear that? If you make your own costume, you won't have to pay that. And put that money someplace else. But anyway, I was taking Lil Stace, two of us were walking down to catch the band. We played in Ultra. And an old lady said, Stacey and Lil Stace, I see your daddy taking you to mass, like how his father used to take him to mass. And Lil Stace he says it's true. Because when he went to Miss Slack school, he wanted to be the little king of the band in the little children carnival. And I made him a costume out of, it was Miss Slack theme was party. So I got some party plates, the party cups. I made an entire costume. You hung the cups. I made a whole, so when he walked, the cups them. So he was like...
You created a fabric out of the cups, basically.
Out of the cups. So the cups them you see the cups them coming down the road, But if you put your mind to it, you could create anything.
Yeah.
And speaking of creating, what do you think is your most memorable costume? Like, what costume do you think is cemented in the minds of... I'm pretty sure it's a couple of them, but what is the top one for you?
I remember particularly this one. When I love animals. I have cows as pets and donkeys and stuff like that up at my house. And one Juve morning, Christmas, I said, you know what? The first time I brought the donkey to town, I said, I can put a lot of rope on it. Dress up like an old farmer, boots, tear-up clothes and so. And I say, I catch in my ass, but I still playing mass.
You got to love it. You got to love it. You got to love it.
But the most controversial one, I would say, was, which was coincidental, actually. I came for Juve. I made a rat outfit. And I borrowed a bike from a guy in Newtown. Because these things only come to you like Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And that's why my biggest beef with carnival committees have been, you have to register for Juve, which is a joke. If you register for Juve, how do they know what, and you change your mind on what you tell them you're going to play.
Right.
And these things should be instantaneous.
Spontaneous and organic.
Yeah. And I came to town and it always happened like a Christmas dinner. And then I started to make the costume between Christmas dinner and Juve morning. It was a lot of work. See them packing the rat tail. And I just happened to have styrofoam beads.
Mm.
And I say, you know what? I can make people talk. And I say, just when I thought I had the rat race won, along came fast the rats, and I just started pedal up and downtown. Like you know, a lot of people took that as
yeah.
Some of them had a laugh about it, but some took it seriously.
Mm.
I've had politicians call me and say, what are you doing? I say, listen, if that hat fits you, you wear it.
Yeah.
It was not intended to be political, you know? It's just like it happened, but then people read too much into it.
Yeah.
It's Christmas, relax. You know what I mean?
Hey, some people put politics in everything, huh?
In everything.
Can't help.
Yeah. And they label you one or the other. They don't know who you are.
Sometimes they label you both and all.
I don't mind that. As far as they both of them, right?
Right?
Yeah, I do definitely remember that rat costume, because I remember Stacey them had to help you to stuff it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the rat tail.
Yes, I remember them speaking about how you made them stuff the rat tail. So I do remember that costume for sure, and it was such an iconic costume that I feel like this one should be in like the National Archives.
It was really interesting because I got Stacey involved in terms of we took for the eyes for the rat. I couldn't find any. Last minute. So we took the egg crate and cut out the styrofoam. But you know that contact cement and styrofoam don't work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we had to find what we had available. The first time we used styrofoam, hoping that it would work. It just disintegrated because it's chemicals. And we found, I think we used flour and water, which is what I used to make my kites with.
Yeah.
But then, if you have cockroach around the place, they're gonna eat it up at night, you know.
Well, man, I feel like these are the things that we need to try and encourage, because, like you said, the fun, the creativity, the ingenuity. I think these are things that really bring us a different element to the fun, right? It creates a whole new dimension to what it means to play mass, as opposed to, like you say, like buying a costume and dancing. Because for me, these are the things that I really look forward to seeing, because even I'm friends with some of the band leaders and some of the masquerade and the costumes that are built, right? Especially the ones that go to a theme, a certain concept, are always the ones that kind of catch my eye and really feel cultural, really feel like people could buy into in a real way. I hear similar complaints from different islands as well, in terms of you have the costumes that are a lot of times 90% feathers, and like none of the feathers even come from here. They're not anything local or cultural.
But if you think about it, if you save your costume from the year before, you could play in after next band.
Yeah.
You just fit in and nobody would know that you're not part of them.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. They're so similar now.
But I think that's why a lot of people love Banco too, because his costumes are generally cultural.
Yeah,
they have some type of cultural theme or concept, something that ties into to Kittitian culture and I think a lot of our mass, because even the mass that I am a part of, I think all of us have more moved to like the foreign look, where it's just feathers and wires and pretty stuff and gems and all of these things, whereas before it used to be more cultural concepts, like we used to integrate the colors of the flag or something that is synonymous with our culture here. So
but that makes it, I think that makes it more unique as well. Like there's everybody gonna have different concepts and way of executing it, right? So you could see the differences between the different bands and different mass camps. And like I think we get into a place where year after year they're getting closer and closer to. Sometimes it looks like it's one big band, just different colors.
Right.
You know.
You know, I started to talk about. We started to talk about the evolution of the bands, how we moved from tinsel, Christmas, you know, from Janice up to start moving.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one year when I did Chinatown, I started to introduce the high cut bath suit for women.
Right.
Now I had to actually talk to a lot of women first, different walks of life, if they would accept a bath suit like that on the street. I mean, what we are seeing now probably evolved from that.
Right.
We are seeing nothing.
Mm.
But for me the bath suit that used to be in the bands before, they were one piece, and they were like gym clothes.
Right.
So I created a particular section and recruited some women who were brave enough in St. Kitts to bring their friends to and play in that section.
Right.
Which was the one with the broad hat. Right?
Oh, okay. All right.
And I think one of my supporters of that was Carla Astafan.
Mm.
She was statuesque, tall, and the bath suit just fit perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the high top, the high cut.
Right.
But it was still a bath suit. But you start making here the legs, show a little more of the legs, you know?
Right.
And ever since that, I remember a particular, I won't call his name now, particular prime minister. Was he prime? Yeah, he was prime minister then, because we became independent in '83. He followed, he was taking pictures. I mean, he was just,
right.
He couldn't believe. I mean, he was just, he saw it, you know?
Right.
And he liked it. So every year he started calling my house and asked me what I'm playing this year, this year.
Right.
Or what was my Juve team. You know, because he recognized that I did political commentary, which is what we don't have anymore.
Right.
Calypsonians don't do that anymore neither. Did social commentary. Because it's all part, this is what Carnival is all about.
Right.
Going back to Juve, when I was a youngster, they had a thing called Sagwa. Ever hear about Sagwa?
I've heard about it. I haven't seen it played.
They used to call it nigger business.
Nigger business. Yeah.
I heard that.
And that's and they had to report. It was plantation workers bringing their boss's story to town.
Right.
What happened in the boss house? They bring it to town, but they spoke so fast that the boss and they didn't understand.
Right.
And at one point, I was told they had to go to the police station and tell them what they're playing. But then when they get on the street now, you know, they change it up.
Yes, play whatever.
They play whatever.
But I think that some of these traditions I would really like to see. I saw this past carnival for sure that they're encouraging some of these types of troops to come back, some of the older folklore and stuff like that. Encouraging it in the school kids, but that aspect of commentary and speaking on current events in a way that is, it's filled with satire. It's fun. It's easy to get people involved in what's happening. I think it's very important to any developing society, however it comes. So, like for instance, we don't have a rich tradition of, let's say, comedians, right? But I think that the role that comedians play in some other societies is the role that our folklore, at least used to play here, right? It discusses some of these topics and things that happen in a way that is, a little bit more digestible and able to foster these conversations. And I think out of these, these displays, whether it's calypso, whether it's costumes, whether it's the folklore, like the conversations that come out of those things are very important, but we just haven't been fostering that as much now.
Do you think it's a case where, because of the climate, where you see that you hear people say, they can't say certain things or they can't do certain things because they're afraid that it might have some repercussions in their life? Do you think that that's the reason why that aspect is getting lost? because it used to be popular back then, and now it's like
afraid of backlash.
Yeah.
You know, I remember I that same Juve I mentioned the first time with the donkey. When I was coming up by Royal Bank with my donkey, and you know, people gather at Balho restaurant to look down at the mass. One of my best friends, businessman, big businessman in town, came downstairs, run on his estates. Boy, people, they're gonna get upset with you, they ain't gonna get no work. I said, boss man, if you have to think like that, you ain't not gonna get anywhere.
Right.
You know, my mom used to tell me, people when I was a kid, say, you see Stacey, you either like him or you don't like him. Because he can tell you exactly how he feel, but he's still gonna have a drink with you.
Right.
You know, if he leave a drink with you and go to the bathroom and come back, he ain't gonna drink that same drink, but you have a new drink with you.
Right.
Well, that's a good life lesson, because we shouldn't leave drinks unattended anyway. So
that's the point.
Yeah.
But you know, before we coming up to the end, we should discuss the separation of Carnival.
Well, we could do it right now because we have about 15 minutes left.
Okay. A few years ago at Al-Bakr, we had a society called the MIS. And Larry Amani called me one day. He said, Stacey, I've been thinking about Carnival and Christmas and how Christmas festivities used to be. What do you think? Let's have a discussion at the MIS. And he moderated it. And it went pretty well. I mean, I'm talking about in the 80s. And I think it's a discussion that we need to have in St. Kitts so that we can actually do that. Because what I think happening is that Carnival and at Christmas time is killing the steel band, it's killing the clowns, the bull, they don't have a part because the loud music is wiping it out, and the costume, you know. If we have the traditional Christmas festivities, we have the Boxing Day, which is the pajama jamming, with steel band alone participate, and then you have your Carnival. And that's what used to happen when we were younger. Like here, Boston Tigers coming down from up the village, Invaders from Newtown, Esso steel band out to the, you know, with Allah's, them Gums and them fellas.
So what you're saying is that as time went on, the traditional Christmas festivities, because there's always been festivities at Christmas time, right? As Carnival came in, they kind of got drowned out and eaten up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. We had a lot more cultural groups like the Japanese girls out in Newtown. You had Sagwa, you had the Bull, you had all in Irish Town had a fella, what the name was, Cooley, he had a mongoose. This is the only first man I know to come down with a mongoose. And
well, I mean, you came to town with a donkey, so
I stepped it up a lot.
Yeah, but I can see that, because I feel like the focus usually is around the mass bands on the first and the second, or the Juve troops. Like the cultural aspect is kind of being lost. Because I remember as a child, I used to play clown religiously every single year. And as an adult, this is when I started getting into the other types of costumes. But I think when I was playing clown, I learned a lot, and that was like some of the best times I've had. I played clown from Beach Island, because Beach Island had a clown troupe. And having to get your costume made and having all those bells and the masks.
Sewing them on and
oh, that was so much fun. And I feel like we should get our kids back into that, especially because, you know, as adults we want to play the other type of mask with the costumes and the glitter and stuff. But our kids, we have to continue this culture with them, because if we don't teach them, no, they won't know, and we don't pass on these traditions, they will get lost. And I feel like the reason a lot of people love Kittitian carnival is because of the culture as well. Like, yes, I love to see the mass bands with the glitter and all
And
of
the
that, but
clowns
when you see the masquerade and the bull
and the clown and the
the actors
Makajombi.
and all of those, these are things that make you literally stand up and watch, because you, most times, if you're not from here, you've never seen anything like this.
And they all have a history. I mean, if you notice that the actors came from Monkey Hill.
Right.
And it's had to do with the French. Yes. And every area had their own thing.
But we mentioned this here on the show recently, the fact that a lot of people don't recognize that the bull it's a play.
It's a story with the doctor and the policeman
and it's based on a true story.
True story.
Right. So I mean, even things like that, I think it's interesting. But you glossed over it a little bit. I don't know if that was on purpose. But would you care to share your thoughts on when exactly may be a good time? You did say when we had Carry Festo, and that's just usually a summer festival. But exactly around what time period?
I think it was the end of August, so it wouldn't clash with Culturama, or it never clashed with anything. And it's just before going back to school. And another thing about Carnival at Christmas time, you realize the expenses. Maybe that's why the Carnival loan comes up. I had a good sponsorship when I did my band from Carry Brewery. I mean, I probably had one of the best sponsorship ever when you tally it. So I was able to subsidize the costumes. At that time, people were paying $300-400. The most expensive costume was $500, and that's the king of the band. But everything was sponsored. We had sponsorship money,
right?
So the band was able to be elaborate. Now, Christmas time, you have linoleum to buy, you have ham to buy, you have food to buy for the Christmas house, you have gifts, then school fees and uniform for school. How could you afford to buy a costume? If we have it separated, you're able to save for that particular time to pay for your costume, and you won't have to. And if you make a costume, you won't have to import it and have this big expense. You being a banker's son, you would know how money go, right?
Indeed.
So you have to spread it, And I think we'll have a better time too, and then we'll have people coming from outside. And it would be also in a dull season, which will provide employment. We generate the economy during that dull season.
Yeah, I think that one of the, because I've heard similar suggestions, and one of the concerns, one of the things to consider, I guess, is the fact that at summertime there's so many festivals. Like, that's usually the counter argument, where it's like there's not many festivals at Christmas time to compete with the ones that do happen at Christmas time. I think we feel like we have an advantage there, which is the St. Croix and the Monstrat.
But the St. Croix is in January.
Well, when I say that, it's literally around the same time, It's a little like a week later than ours.
Beginning of the year. So that's starting off. We actually, in our Christmas, we can make our Christmas festivities so nice,
right,
and separate from Carnival. So we have two festivities actually, and people won't even know the difference. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Instead of
we used to have two carnivals, right? We used to have two, right?
I don't know.
At one point.
I love Christmas carols. So I start playing, because you don't hear Christmas carol during Christmas time, which is Carnival.
Right.
You hear Calypso, they're pushing the Calypso. I start playing Christmas carols in September.
Okay.
So I could appreciate them. So by the time Christmas comes, I have that mood, because Calypso going to be killing that.
Right.
I mean, you don't hear it. And which is, Christmas carols give you such a feeling at the end of the year that is unbelievable. It's undescribed. You can't describe it.
Right.
So, and I think we're killing that too. You don't hear no Christmas carol at all.
Yeah, right about that. And like it's almost like we have to make effort to keep Christmas.
Keep Christmas alive.
Yeah.
Even this year when we didn't even have a carnival, a traditional carnival, like it's still like you heard people.
People just talked about the fact that we didn't have a traditional carnival.
Yeah, and they also said they're still not feeling the Christmas spirit and all of these things, but they forget that they have to make themselves feel it. They have to do the activities that are aligned with their traditional Christmas, because we've put so much focus on sugar mass, honestly, because even for me, working for a Juve troupe and still working for a mass troupe, like Christmas isn't what it used to be for me, because most of the time after I finish Christmas breakfast or lunch with my family, it's straight to work because we have to set up for the next day, and sometimes we don't even get to see our families. We just eat wherever we can eat. So yeah, I agree, maybe it would help.
We have to start a dialogue though.
Yeah.
I participated in a program with Alliance Francaise for Carnival.
Yeah.
And I met two young guys. They were from the Red Devils, the troop, Red Devils troop.
Yeah, Red Devils. Yeah.
And after the discussion, we spoke to people in Guadeloupe who did the same thing like we did. Guadeloupe, Saint Martin, and Martinique, and I think at one point Dominica. And the two young men from the Blue Devil, we chatted out a little while after, and when I told them about separating Carnival, the first started off was, we might get a pushback, and then the conversation ended up, I think we should do it. And he said, Stacey, this is the first time I'm having dinner with my parents in 10 years. I mean, the Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
He said for 10 years that he started thinking about it.
Yeah.
And he said, wow, that's a good idea.
Yeah, Christmas became something else for him.
It became something else because he had to be ready for get the Juve going, da-da-da-da-da. Never had anything with it.
Christmas Day usually doesn't exist for people.
It don't exist.
Yeah. We don't have no Christmas Day. We don't have no sitting down with family and opening gifts. Our mind is literally in work mode. Because we have to make sure we set up for the next day.
And you can't be a failure.
Right.
You can't. Not at this for sure, because
it's not an option.
Conditions take Juve so seriously.
Yeah.
That we can't.
And with our Christmas and Carnival again too, we should move straight from Juve into Carnival. This week lapse again. Huh?
You think conditions have the energy?
Yeah, because you're already in the mode.
So Juve, let's say Juve.
Finish 10 o'clock. You go home, eat something, take a shower, costume, pregnant.
What?
But that's what happens in a lot of the
other
islands.
I know. I think we were speaking about it yesterday.
No. You already you're already in that mode. Trust me, you'll be surprised. But when you have a lapse of this week from Juve, then Carnival is on the first. It just don't.
Well, the only reason I say that might be difficult to have both on the same day is because, especially for women.
No, it won't be difficult. You must play Mass in Antigua.
I plan to.
Yeah, play Mass in Trinidad. And next thing I'm going to stop on. Did you know that Carnival Day in St Kitts was the 31st and the 1st? Now let me bring you up to speed. When I started my band, it was the 31st. There was Carnival Day, and the 1st, and then you went back to work on the 2nd. Sidney Osborne was the PS. I think he was in charge of Carnival, and I lobbied him because people, if you want to get people to play Mass in the band, there must be the women that I wanted to get a lot of women in the band. They would do their hair for Old Year's Night to go Old Year's Night dance.
Right, for the balls.
For the ball. Fairview Ball and so on.
Right.
Factory Social Center. And none of them would play Mass because they don't want their hair get mess up for Carnival Day. And I lobbied, I never spoke about it to people, and I lobbied him, wrote letters to government, and I showed them take away 31st as a holiday, make it the 1st and 2nd, put it, the holiday from the 31st will go to the 2nd, And that's how we ended up in the first and second.
Wow, that's interesting.
And I'm pretty sure a lot of people, myself included, did not know that.
A lot of people.
Thank you for. No, you know what? I have one more mission for you to lobby. We need a holiday. After Mass, after those 2 days, I don't care if we move Carnival. After those 2 days of playing Mass, back to back, we need a rest there.
That's Trinidad. Trinidad have the Ash Wednesday because that's when it's an unofficial holiday.
Well,
but people just.
We here, we need something.
But
work on that for us. Since you have.
No. It was not. It was just. I believe in the Mass so much that it just didn't make sense. Our Mass would not grow.
Right.
Think about that today. If Carnival was still the 31st of May, 31st of December.
No.
Think about what would be happening now. And I saw it happening. I mean, I love to party. I mean, I born so. I'm a party animal. The original party animal, right? And I said to myself, if we're gonna get Carnival going in this country, we gotta start with breaking down little bricks. Because most of the people in charge of Carnival don't play Mass,
Right.
So they don't understand
the dynamics, the intricacies.
Yeah, I mean, in those days when the chairman coming down for Carnival Day in a shirt jack and
Yeah.
Carnival Day shaking people's hand and he didn't know how this thing come on the road.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So you had to. I started to looking at that, and then I started talking. And Mr. Osborne was my teacher in grammar school, so and he
There's
was
a relationship there. Yeah.
And yeah, my sisters and them friends, and I said, boy, let me work on this man here, boy. And he gladly worked on it and worked on it.
Made it happen.
And he had to convince ministers now, and which is not so easy because Carnival was
tradition and how we're accustomed to.
Yeah, but it was Quelbe too. You got that word in our vocabulary named Quelbe.
Yeah. My grandmother's
Quelbe music.
Quelbe music, yeah.
So we had to. You don't hear it now.
Well, I mean, they got Quelbe crew, so they're keeping the word alive at least.
Yeah, but you don't hear people use the word Quelbe because Quelbe is the norm.
Oh boy. Well, I mean, it's interesting. I think that what's happening. Kevon is over there, and he's really fet van, and I think he's having tabanco right now. I think the tabanco is real, so he hasn't been able to catch himself.
But I'm glad you guys invited me to this program. I mean, my son called me, said, "Pops, this lady's trying to one of my friends is trying to get in touch with you to talk about Carnival." I said, "Man, that won't be a problem. That's right up my alley."
But we really appreciate you coming and taking the time out to come and sit with us and have a conversation and then really enlighten us about your role in Mass and the development and also some of these views, because I think that one of the things that people really like this show for is we sometimes touch on things that perhaps need to be talked about a little more. And one of the things you're alluding to, the movement of moving Carnival and separating it from Christmas. I think that's a discussion that needs to be continued and needs to be had. So hopefully that's something that continues even past this broadcast. But we've spent some time speaking, and the time is fast spent. And we're gonna have to wrap up. Any last thoughts before we sign off?
Let's just work on this paper, this white paper, to move Carnival.
All right, man on a mission.
You asked me for a mission. That's my mission.
Right there.
But you have to sprinkle in the moving of Carnival, a holiday.
Extra holiday.
You know that I've been following American politics, and you know that package they're trying to pass now? They have some little things in there that have no sense to be in there. I'm going to do it.
So you don't feel my holiday has sense?
No, I said no.
You said sprinkle it in somewhere.
Yes,
I'm going to sprinkle it in.
We need to just sprinkle it in.
Because then they wouldn't realize it in there by the time it's passed. I said, what happened? What I just signed up on?
No, we have a whole holiday to rest. Yes.
A rest day.
Or we could make it an unofficial holiday.
If they want to say unofficial,
Yeah.
I don't mind.
Yeah, recovery day.
Because Ash Wednesday is an unofficial holiday in Trinidad.
Yeah.
That's where they go to the beach.
We just need a recovery day.
Yeah. Carnival recovery. I feel you.
But Mr. Hobson, thank you so much.
Stacey can work, you know.
Yes. So thank you so much, Mr. Hobson, for joining us. Like, this was an interview that we really appreciate, because we don't hear from our icons enough, and you are literally a carnival icon. Whether people know or not, well, no, they know, because you know we've let the cat out the bag. And now we know that you were one of the people that were essential in getting us these 2 days that weren't the norm back then.
There were 2 days.
But they weren't the 2 normal days. No.
Yeah, it couldn't work.
I agree.
It couldn't work.
All right, guys, it's Friday. And yeah, we ain't gotta wake up early tomorrow, Jade.
I do.
Oh, well, too bad. But yeah, we thank you guys for tuning in today, supporting us all week. Again, like, share, subscribe, comment. I remember to check out our new Instagram page, Island TSKN. You get clips, you get highlights, all the stuff that we say here that we probably shouldn't have said. We can put it there. Yeah, it's been a fun week, unless you're Jade. And well, Jade over here cussing me belly, so I'm gonna look food now. Jade, where we going?
I'm sounding like.
Maybe that's the place to go. But Master of Ceremonies.
Is your Wi-Fi letting you do things?
You and me? Is it me?
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, there we go. So you can't be everybody's cup of tea because you is not a mug.